Town Council meets this week. We have details about what's on the agenda. The Greater Hyannis Chamber of Commerce names the 2016 Patrick M. Butler Citizen of the Year. And we find out what's happening in the town manager's office during our interview with town manager Mark Ells. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, September 28th, 2016. I'm Sarah Mannel. Town Council meets tonight. On the agenda is a presentation of the town's housing production plan. Growth Management's Arden Cadron will present that. Maggie Downey of the Cape Light Compact will provide an update on the work they are doing. Also on the agenda is an acceptance of a $12,000 grant for bulletproof vests for the Barnstable Police Department. Town Council meets Thursday night at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. The Greater Hyannis Chamber of Commerce has named Brian Griffin as the 2016 Patrick M. Butler Citizen of the Year Award recipient. Griffin is the first Vice President, Regional Manager of Rockland Trust, and serves as a member of the Board of Directors for the Cape and Islands United Way. He will be presented with the award during the Chamber's annual dinner, October 13th. And now let's find out what's happening in the town manager's office during our interview with town manager Mark Ells. Joining me now is town manager Mark Ells. Thank you so much for joining us live this morning.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you today?
Very well. How are you?
Good, good, good.
You know, want to talk to you about some things going on. First of all, you're out and about, joining the community, hitting the road, chatting with some different organizations. You're going to be at the Senior Center next week. I think you recently talked to the Rotary. Why is it so important for you to get out and interact with the community?
Well, it's a big part of the job and the job I do and the role I play here in town, certainly to be out there and speaking with all the various groups about, you know, what we're doing, where we're going, listening to them and hearing what their concerns might be or suggestions are, and just keeping them up to date. I think that, you know, the Rotary was a great opportunity to thank them for all the great work that they do in our community, to talk with them about some of the major projects and initiatives we have going, whether it be, you know, water or traffic or growth or you know, new services we may, you know, be looking to provide in the future, and then to just gauge their response, to see their response. It's funny, most of the time it comes back to discussions about traffic, and that always seems, as much as we talk about so many other issues here in this community, many of their questions are about traffic and you know, about not so much about parking even, and about where are the major construction projects and how are we going to manage this, and, you know, we like the fact that we can access by vehicle or bicycle or walking, but there's conflict, so, you know, what's the best way to manage that? Those sorts of questions, as well as just the influx of traffic we have seasonally. So.
Interesting, and you just stole my second question right out from under me. I was going to ask you what you hear from mostly. Is there something other than traffic issues that residents really are concerned about?
I think that they are, you know, very much. They're seasonally oriented questions, or they are perhaps event-oriented questions. So they may ask about water when there are water issues. I would have to say, second to traffic, though, questions about when we're going to sewer is the most frequent. And it's very interesting because you know, you would think that there would be an apprehension there. Because of the costs that we all discuss. But most of the time people are saying, without talking about cost, well, when are we going to sewer? So, yeah, I would have to say that's probably the second most frequently asked question and explanation that I have to give. You know, and that morphs into a broader discussion about water and water supply protection and planning appropriately for where water and wastewater exist and how they interact, and then that broadens to discussions of things like aquaculture programs and lawn fertilization, regulations. So I'd have to say that's probably the second is wastewater. And then again, it'll be event specific. A lot of questions about the Route 28 project, about how long that's going to last and what's the sequencing going to be, and are they going to do
you're
construction
talking about the project at Bursa's Way and Route 28, and that's going to take a little while, so it might be somewhat of an inconvenience when they really get going on that project.
That's a significant project. It's one of the busier corridors for traffic in our community. It's a 2-year duration. So yes, the coordination between us and Mass DOT, it's a state project, is critical so that we can keep our public and our businesses informed about how they're progressing, what the next major milestone will be, when detours and delays will occur. We need to coordinate very closely with our fire departments on Cape Cod because we are a regional medical center and they do need to access, and they might, if we plan properly, they won't route them that way, but we don't want any conflicts there.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've been using that route for quite a long time.
At times, they're used to modifying, though. They know that from time to time we'll have these sorts of construction projects, and the next one will be very interesting, which is slated for 2 years from now, which is the intersection of Route 28 and Willow Street.
Wow.
So that's a major entrance to the downtown, especially for emergency vehicles, but for anybody coming off of Exit 7 or coming from the east. So that'll be another one that'll require the same level of attention and establishing clear points of communication within Barnstable and with the state. So, people aren't just wondering what's going on. They're not calling some 800 number in Boston and you get lost in the morass of, this is just a construction project. It is, but it's a very important one, and it's on a major corridor in the economic center of Cape Cod. So,
and if we plan for it, if we know what's happening, we can really try and reduce the frustration.
You can absolutely minimize conflicts. Yeah. Absolutely, no question.
Town council is going to meet this Thursday night, and one of the things that they're going to discuss is a pedestrian and bicycle advisory committee. Yep. Why is this so important?
Well, for the reasons that I previously referred to and the types of questions and the attention our public has on the issue, but more recently we went forward with a South Route bike. It was called a path. I think it really isn't. It's a route. They're using existing roads. They were looking to better delineate where bicycles are riding on those roads from Hyannis to Cotuit. It was confusing for people to probably best word to describe it. So that isn't the reason for creating the committee, but that committee will help in advising as to how to proceed.
And it's so important to get feedback from people who are using that, cycling on it every day, to tell officials what they encounter, what they need for safety.
And absolutely, and maybe more importantly, for the safety reason, that the people who are driving the cars are aware, because as important as pedestrian and bicycle is, more likely than not it's going to be the vehicle that could inflict the greatest harm here. So we need to be very careful that our public knows, that our vehicle driving public knows what we're doing, understands it, and we do it appropriately.
You can look out for those cyclists.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And of course, look forward to chatting with you next week. Of course, Town Manager Mark Alves will be at the Senior Center October 4th. You can call to sign up for that event. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, that airs weekdays at 8 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will have our weekly community profile segment. We'll talk with Town Council President Jessica Rapp-Grassetti and learn even more about what's on the agenda for Town Council. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.